Good evening, everyone. As per with these things, I simply must check that everything is set up properly, so please bear with me. I hope that you're well. In the meantime, I'm sending you my love, especially for this reading, this pick-a-pile reading that I've set up. It's going to be a little personal. Just so we're clear, I have definitely done this for myself already. I do this regularly, in fact. So you won't be alone in this. And normally when I do these kinds of things, it always brings up aspects of myself that may have gone unseen. So I can't stress enough, you are not alone. I'm in here with you. We are in this thing together. As I put in the description, this is done inspired by the Scorpio full moon that is currently upon us right now. I was particularly inspired by the concept of underworld exploration and how that's where we've been, not just today, this evening, but leading up to this in the previous weeks, if you resonate. And I'm finding in particular that, as I put in the live reading that I did for this week, there are people, and as I've posted on social media as well, there are people who are a bit shocked and blindsided by some shadow aspects of not just themselves, but of the world, their communities that they've chosen to be a part of. And I'd just like to say, leading into this reading, that none of what may come up in this reading and none of what has come up is something to be feared or shunned or avoided, or you don't have to run away from any of this. It's all a part of life. It's part of the experience. It's part of the deal, the whole yin and yang of being alive. And the truth of who you are ultimately is always bigger than that. I feel specifically called to remind you that you don't have to worry about, because I feel like the people who may tune into my work and who I read for are specifically worried about karma and how potentially doing the wrong thing may lead you down the wrong road of karma, and you end up accumulating things that you tried to run away from. It turns out you're not breaking curses, or these curses, they follow you, whatever. Just before anything, know that you're doing the work. You're doing wonderfully. And this reading is not at all something that is trying to throw you under the bus. It's not something that is trying to point fingers at you. We are all humans, and we're all in this together. No one is perfect. And I mean, as I've said in previous readings, our sheer lack of imperfection, our flaws, are exactly what makes us perfect. So be proud of yourself for that. And yeah, we're all walking each other home. So let's go home, Let's be at home. Let's be ourselves. As I usually prompt in all of these readings, if you haven't already done so, please take this moment to ground yourself in your breath, in your body. And most importantly, for this specific pick-a-pile reading, take the time to ground yourself in acceptance of yourself. Know, as I've prefaced, that all parts of you are worth love. All parts of you are absolutely perfect as they are. And all any of this work takes is your full acceptance of your full self, including your shadows. Please take this time now to ground yourself in that thought through your breathing. Hold the numbers 1 through 3. Hold them in your mind's eye. Take the time now to pick the number that resonates most with you. And then pick the corresponding pile and let us play. This evening, what I have for us is our one card piles. So there's one card in each pile, all of them naturally in reverse so that we're exploring the shadow. And I will supplement each pile with possibly two more cards just to make it complete, 3. And I'll allow those cards to lead to whatever needs to be said, either messages or of upliftment, indications of what needs to be worked on, maybe what inspired that shadow within you in the first place. Thank you for trusting me enough to be present for this reading. Thank you for trusting yourself. And thank you for choosing accountability, because I like I said, I do these readings for myself often, and it's a very sticky, uncomfortable place to be willing to be accountable enough to understand that you're not perfect. So congratulations. You are, like I said, already so perfect. I have pile 1. I'll begin with pile 1. Interesting. So as I began, I intended on all of these cards to be in reverse so that we explore the shadow. But I've picked this card upright, and this card naturally, as the 4 of discs, speaks of the shadow aspects of lack mind, prioritizing materialism over the spirit, fear mind in particular. So, we're jumping right into it. This is your shadow, the lack mind. And I think that generally, pile 1, this is obviously the shadow of the collective. As I began this reading, saying this is definitely a stellar shadow that I genuinely believe is a major blockage for my blessings. And as I said, still dealing with it. So it's I know how difficult it is to uncover and unpack. And I believe it's especially difficult if you are of color, if you're a brown person, or if you are indigenous. We're obviously dealing with a lot of deeply ingrained repercussions of colonization. And that shit is deep. It was deep work. I really would like to explore, though, the reverse, because I really did insist. I fully and deeply intended on all of these cards being in reverse. So I'm very sincerely fascinated that I managed to pick this up upright. So as I've said, the upright is lack, feelings, I'll read it here, feelings of scarcity that may manifest in reality, protectiveness, the need to change your attitude towards money to a more open model, and seeing it as a flow of energy and not a finite substance, and looking for a more sustaining way of life. This is upright, which I think naturally will be the solution for the feelings of scarcity. It mentions that in itself. The reverse meaning of this is fear, avarice, covetousness, possessiveness, exclusively materialistic views, inability to change because of fear, and an apparent lack of options. So, in the name of exploring, I would like to pull more cards to understand how it is that we can go about facing this and fixing it. What's missing? I had mentioned that the cards may come out as an explanation or support of why these feelings came up in the first place. But like I said, this feeling of scarcity and lack mind, they're all things that are rooted in us as the greater project of the Matrix and white supremacy and whatever. So, I mean, we already know. I suppose messages of hope and upliftment may fall out. Maybe some practical suggestions on how it is that we can face these feelings within us and process them so that they can empty out. Because I don't think that feelings of scarcity are ours. I really don't think that feelings of fear and materialistic views are naturally of us as human beings. We are naturally energetic. All right. So the Four of Cups has fallen out. Lots of 4 energy. We're working with our foundations. And as I've mentioned in the description of this video, we are trying to come home to ourselves. So this card, as the as it looks, the way it looks, normally allows me to lean in towards the practical suggestion being gratitude lists. I've mentioned this time and time again in readings. It's very, very useful for me practically to write down with my hand to the paper a few things that I'm grateful for, and then to read them out loud to my candle or in the mirror if you're doing mirror self work. And then finishing it off, literally saying thank you, thank you, thank you 3 times after each point that you're grateful for. I also have this that I've shown in previous readings, the magic. It's brilliant. Lots of practical advice here. I've emphasized a lot that the book itself may come across as a little remedial because I believe that the way it's written and its activities are, they're trying to make it more accessible so that even a teenager or a 10-year-old could read through that and do the activities pretty well and learn from it. So just as I've said in the description, please be open-minded. This card also speaks of a dissatisfaction in your life in general. So possibly facing that, but I think it can be faced with gratitude, sincere gratitude, Like I said, pen to paper, writing it down and making it an actual act of labor that you are pouring your energy into physically, As I'm thinking now of the suggestion of, I like to, after exercising, literally thank my body for its ability to carry me through that session. When I'm cleaning, I like to feel gratitude for the fact that I can do it at all, the fact that I have the energy and the movement to be able to do that, because it is an underrated thing. There's so many things to be grateful for in general. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just give a very light interpretation of these cards that have fallen out. It's the Wheel, the Hermit, and the Chariot. All of these cards together speak as well of trusting in divine intervention, lots of soul searching, and then kind of finishing it off with trusting yourself. So I would suggest, or rather, let me put it this way. I feel that the cards are suggesting that you dive into divine work, spiritual work in the sense of humbling yourself to a greater power and trying to apply that understanding and that humbling to balance it with your assertiveness. Balance your interaction with the divine. Balance the divine will with your own will. Through the work of gratitude lists, journaling, lots of alone time, and alone time with the intention of self-exploration. It seems like, or I believe that when feelings of lack appear in our perceptions, it's not so much about the fact that it's not so much about the fact that we are lacking. We're not, even if the lack does present itself externally, it's not so much about that. It's more about facing all the ways in which we don't actually lack in spirit. It's an invitation to be more spiritual, essentially. Focused too much on the material world, focused too much on the things of this place, and not enough on the soul. So I hope that all of these cards and this reading itself encourages you to do more of that, more soul work, more spiritual work. I've just thought now of the activity of, please excuse my son, the activity of doing the 12 steps. I suggest you look into that. Even if you aren't an addict or you don't identify as that, I think the 12 steps of recovery are useful for absolutely everybody alive. Everybody can get into the 12 steps. So I think you should get into that. And trust. It's difficult, especially when you're facing feelings of lack and needing to process all of that. But just trust in your universe, trust in your world, trust in the divine, trust in something bigger than you. Trust in something, even if it's just the feeling of love. Humble yourself to something. Humble yourself to something so that you can keep tapping into the bigger picture and not get so caught up in the material of existence, because it's not all that, it's not everything, and there's so much more to life than what we see. Right. I'm moving on to pile 2 now. Moving on to pile 2. Fully intended to explore the shadow aspect, so I'm going to read both but emphasize the reverse of it. Upright, this card speaks of somebody who's essentially prepared for war, and that feeling of uptightness and feeling like you need to guard yourself, the feeling of fear that something bad is always going to happen, and that you just stay ready so you don't have to get ready, which is obviously shadow energy within itself, because what if nothing bad is happening? Then when are you going to chill, And you deserve to chill. You didn't come into this life so that you can be constantly stressed about things and always prepared. And technically, you don't actually know what's coming. You don't know what's next. No one can actually predict the future. So it's a little bit silly in itself to think that this armor that you've adorned yourself with can help you with absolutely every danger. Yes, the armor is helpful, but there are some dangers that you simply cannot be prepared for, that you have to be vulnerable for, and that in this card, this knight is terrified of being. This knight hates being vulnerable. He's fully doesn't want to show any inch of skin. Absolutely despises it. So the upright interpretation is a man armored, masked, difficult to get to know, standing strong, facing unknown challenges, loneliness, longing for connection, someone used to cutting off or donning different persona at different times. And then in reverse, which is what I've said I'd like to prioritize, is someone who conceals his true self because he's afraid he would be unacceptable. Sometimes quite dangerous, he is increasingly under pressure, escaping through anger, denial, and projections on the outside world. So, as I've said, I think that, or rather, as has been read, I believe that part of your shadow and your shadow work. A major part of your shadow right now, pile 2, is the fact that you are afraid to be vulnerable. And you think that your high walls, you're probably a Scorpio like me. You think that your high walls are things that can protect you. And that's not the case. You'll find that you've built such high walls around yourself that yes, sure, you're protected from the danger, but you're also literally guarded off from the ability to openly connect and love other people. I'm receiving that you're possibly, and sorry, I speak in tropical astrology. I'm not quite familiar with all the other ones enough to be able to speak confidently on it. I'm receiving as well an 8th house Virgo placement, or possibly 8th. So it's all very 8th house energy, Pluto, Scorpio, but maybe with sprinkles of Virgo, Aries, Aquarius, and maybe a little bit of Libra. These are all signs that I perceive to be very controlling. So controlling beyond their awareness that they kind of end up self-sabotaging and ruining things for themselves because of what they think is a good and useful action, but is actually just a projection from a very wounded place. Like I said, I relate as a Scorpio placement. So yeah, we have to really open our hearts. We have to open up. We have to stop being so afraid of feelings and of getting hurt. You are not prepared by insisting on not being vulnerable or by having your guard up. And as mentioned, this mode of protection it can be dangerous because of how these walls. It's like a version of suppression. It's like a version of self-suppression, and yeah, you're keeping the lid tight. It's gonna explode. It has to. You're not letting your energy flow well enough. So I'm immediately tapping into a practical solution to this, being yoga, somatic healing. I love doing womb or sacral massages. So essentially just massaging your tummy in circles. There's a sequence to it that I've posted via my Instagram, but I honestly think that kind of thing can be done by you. You can just allow yourself, or just go continuously in circles one way and then in the other way. I swear by it. It literally makes me a happier person. It consistently makes me a happier person. The minute I am done with massaging my sacral, I swear, it's actually shocking. It's mind-blowing to me how useful it is to open up your heart. It's a lot of heart work here that needs to be done. Very blocked heart chakra. I'm also tapping into the solution of cacao, which can be found in Dischem. Well, actually, I just recently went to Dischem and I couldn't find it. But any of those shops that sell, if you can find maca powder, then you can probably find cacao. If you can find turmeric there, then you'll likely be able to find cacao. Any place where you can find it's a powdered drink, essentially. It is not cocoa, it's not hot chocolate, it's cacao. There's a very, very there's a difference. There's a very strict difference. And for me, it's one of those things that really just mind-blowingly useful. I highly recommend. And I would also say, obviously therapy, but I get the sense as well that with this being a sword stick falling out, you're fairly self-aware. So that maybe you're someone who's tried therapy and it hasn't actually worked out very well. So maybe as well, going out of your way to call a friend every day. Like you have to go out of your way to do it. You may be like me, pile two, very uncomfortable with phone calls. You don't do well with that. Or as I've seen on social media as well, you make it like a joke. Like I saw a tweet. Someone said, so sweet of you to ask if you can call. You can't, but really sweet of you to ask still. Very funny, but not funny because if you find that tweet funny, we're one of those people who have this problem, you know? All of this armor. Can you imagine how heavy it is as well? It's heavy. This shit is heavy. The sword it's all heavy, you know? Don't you want to be light? Don't you want to walk lighter? I do. Let's get into the other cards, see what comes up. Okay. Interesting. All right. Yo, we've got a lot here. All right. So we have the moon. We have the King of Rods. We have the Knight of Rods. And we have the King of Swords. So this is going to take a lot of extra effort because, as I've said, you are someone who's pretty aware of yourself. It's not like you haven't already done the work. Hold on, baby, let me finish. I'm not. It's not like you haven't already done this work of like self-exploration and I'm also getting the vibe that you're somebody who clicked on this video just for interest's sake to see if, let's see what it's about. Let's see what comes up. Because like I said, you know pretty well about yourself. You may be a little bit manipulative. And as I emphasized in the description, you really need to try to be as open-minded and hearted as possible because while, yes, you are very intelligent and very aware, there are still some things that you do not know. And as I've emphasized, just because you are armored up, just because, you're one of those stay ready so you don't have to get ready people, just because you have all this armor up to protect you from the danger doesn't mean you are protected from all danger. So I'm getting that it's possible you may need to humble yourself to like feelings and to feeling things and to emotional work. I think part of your shadow is your ego, actually. You need to humble yourself to the feelings of, possibly feelings of romanticism. Okay, and all of these suggestions that I have, they all have a frequency of just moving slower. Maybe if you move a little slower in your day to day, really stop to smell the flowers, stop to smell the roses. If you're walking, take a walk. And if you see a flower, literally stop to smell it. Even if it doesn't smell like anything, I think there's something about the interaction of having a flower close to your face and observing its beauty and everything. It can really bring you nicely into the present moment. It feels good. And I think you just need to feel, I don't know, I think all this armor, it's stopping you from feeling all you can feel about life. It's like on some level you're afraid to feel. I'd like to explore the King of Rods to see what comes up. So the King of Rods upright speaks of a mystic sense of connection with both earth and air, an instinctive grasp of human and animal nature, a decision maker, business or creative person who leads receptive, the ability to listen and clarify, a need to connect with your wild intuitive wisdom. And this card, being the knight of that version, speaks very similarly of the same thing, but he's a lot more on the spiritual, romantic, poetic side. So maybe you could also, maybe something like doing, maybe creating, making art, drawing, writing could help get the flow going. I'm also receiving that you may be somebody who gets emotional during the full moon, and it may be confusing to you as to why that happens. Um, yeah, you're a very guarded person, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's more to life for you. It's like life is waiting for you to open up to it. And with the King of Swords falling out, I think that you need to use your energy. You are a very decisive, intellectual person. And I think something about that may be holding you back, and it may be part of the armor that you've adorned yourself with that you think is useful for you and can keep you from danger. But not all of this life can be warded off through intelligence. Some things you have to be like a child. You have to connect to your childlike wonder and just spirituality in general, which would imply like meditation and all of that. But I mean the creative parts of it. So I would highly suggest actually doing some yoga with Adrienne. She is very she's very connected to her inner child, and the way she brings it out during yoga sessions, during the yoga that she posts on YouTube, she makes jokes, she acknowledges her cute little dog. It's very wonderful. She really brings you into the moment through that. It's not formal or serious. She's cute, man. She's cute, and I think that could be useful for you. Yeah. Congratulations to you, especially. Like I've said, you're a very aware person, Pile 2. You're very intelligent. And, congratulations. Thank you, actually. Thank you for being open enough to receive this information from a deck of cards. And thank you for being with me and trusting me. I'm now moving on to pile 3. Pile 3. Ah, wonderful. So we finally have this in reverse. This is the Page of Cups. Okay. I actually love that this came out in reversed. Excuse me. I love that it came out in reverse first, group 3. All the other cards came out upright, and it kind of messed with my intention here because I did specifically say I wanted them all to be reversed to explore reverse energy. This energy upright has no real shadow to it. It's more highlighting the need to decide between autonomy or sacrificing yourself in the name of love, kind of, which isn't always bad. I mean, compromise, rather. Let's say compromise. But reverse, it has its own shadow, so I'm going to get straight into it. It speaks of a siren call into a psychic neverland, fear of vulnerability or failure, leading to withdrawal, stultification, failure, blocked sexuality causing eating disorders and other problems, ferocious hidden anger and denial, emotional immaturity. And its shadow is the words are a bit direct in the way it's described. Emotional immaturity is a bit of a difficult one, especially if it is that, it's difficult to face. No one ever fully knows when they're being emotionally mature, right? But I think that specifically speaks of the possibility that you might be somebody who skips over their emotions too much, and you may be too forceful with the action of doing that. Like, you feel tears, you're on the verge of it, and you're very good at kind of like swallowing them back and being like, well, anyway, let's move on, not a good thing. I'm receiving possibly an Aries placement or a Virgo placement or an Aquarius. Yeah, and maybe a Scorpio, because I, as a Scorpio placement, I used to find that was something that you could pride yourself on being able to control your emotions and knowing when to cry, knowing when the right, or a Libra, knowing when the right time is to cry and whatever. But hey man, if your emotions need to come out, they need to come out. And you're not emotionally mature for knowing how to hold your tears back. I mean, sorry, you're not emotion. Yeah, I hope I said that right. You're not emotionally mature for knowing how to hold your tears back. That's not emotional maturity. That's self suppression. And I think that suppression can lead to emotional immaturity. Yeah, I'm sorry for that trigger warning. I should have probably. I mean, yeah, I'm facing this now with you in this moment. So if you feel called to stop listening to this, then I fully understand, because that is a triggering topic to bring up. But if you feel grounded enough to be able to continue this with me, then thank you. And I guarantee you that your universe, your angels, your God, your own higher self is very, very proud of you. So, this is something I also do not know enough about. I know I'd said that that I'm with you, but yeah, I honestly don't know enough about this. I have people in my life who I love very much who deal with issues like eating disorders. But I don't quite understand how something like that links to blocked sexuality as it's been put here. So I will allow the moment to be the moment. And I'll pull some cards to support, uplift, further understand what this Page of Cups in reverse, what your shadow needs right now. Okay. So the perfect pair of cards fell out, the Nine of Cups and the One of Discs, which immediately speak to how you are being directly invited to deal with this shadow by just enjoying life more. Just try to enjoy and really release your worries and release yourself. Try to be yourself. I'm actually going to read the interpretation of this card. Of both of them, actually. I think both of them would be lovely. I'll start with the One of Discs instead. So the One of Discs speaks of the ability to manifest ideas into physical reality. Someone with their feet firmly on the ground, abundance, physical well-being, sensuality, the love of material reality, a need to base ideas on experience, observation, and experiment, seeing what is. And then the Nine of Cups speaks of a fulfillment, joy, happiness, release, sometimes sexual, the conscious evocation of happiness, acting as if happy. Depending on motivation, this is no bad thing. A joyful time when everything falls into place and life seems to be a dance of pure joy. So directly, speaking bluntly, as I was reading the interpretations of these cards just now, I felt that the practical suggestion for dealing with your shadow is to have sex. But not just sex with anyone, and not just, I think that sex in itself is a very serious thing. It is, I believe, an energy exchange on some level, whether you acknowledge it or not. And so you can't, I would not suggest just having sex with anybody. Try specifically connecting with people who you know actually enjoy you, or at the very least, actually enjoy life. So try to do so with people who you can see are happy, who face themselves. You have a lot of you have a lot of experimenting and living to do. Sorry, my nose has begun to block up. Go out, go out. That's also what I'm receiving. Go out a bit, flirt a bit, talk to people. This mood for me, this mood for me would play out by going to an event that I wouldn't normally attend, or attend an event alone. Excuse me, let me drink water. Sit on that, yeah. I actually highly suggest that second bit. Attending an event or going to places by yourself, solo dates, but not just solo dates, because I think a solo date is very easy to, it's very easy to be on a solo date and kind of like isolate yourself and sit at your own table in your own world. I'm feeling that what needs to happen is you need to be put in like situations that actively force you to be out there, you know? So not a place where you can find a table and you can sit in a corner by yourself. A place that forces you onto a dance floor, or there are really lovely speed dating events that happen in my area. Hopefully some speed dating events happen around yours too. And if none of that can happen in person, then I suggest that happening via social media. Thank God for the internet, right? So and for social media platforms, so we can just find each other, DM, shoot our shots and stuff like that. I think that that's something that could happen for you. You have, I think part of your shadow has shown itself through your belief that the way that you suppress yourself and deny your enjoyment in the pleasures of life. I feel as though you thought that was healthy for you, or you thought maybe you're someone who comes from a religious past, or you did that at the expectation of not your beliefs but other people's beliefs, and it hasn't been good for you. It hasn't done you justice. There's a true self of you that would like to come out through the act of just enjoying life more and doing stuff. You need to do more things. Excuse me. But you need to do them. You need to do them with feeling, You need to feel things. Or you need to move from your feeling, acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge the feelings of others as well, and connect with people on that level. So extending from the suggestion that I made about having sex, it is possible to have casual sex with people who respect you, who care about you, right? Casual sex doesn't have to be something like, it doesn't have to be like, ugh, I really believe that, like, finding a casual sex partner who respects you and actually cares about you is totally possible without you needing to fall in love with them either. Like, the human experience is so expansive. There's so much to us. There's so much to being alive. And I think that's what can be medicine for your shadow, is just acknowledging and remembering that and using that as fuel to lead you to experiencing life. Like, very random, but maybe you need to have a drink, Maybe you need to have a drink. Lots of cups here. Allow yourself to do something. Allow yourself to do something crazy. Allow yourself to be impulsive from an emotional place, But emotional, obviously, and impulsive in a way that doesn't harm you or anyone else, right? I'm not encouraging you to do something crazy like that. Like, don't make a mess of things, but have fun. Have more fun being human have more fun being a human being. Yeah, that's all I've got. I hope that helped. uh, this your pile 3 feels it feels very straightforward, very direct, not so much shadowy. Just as a matter of just like, yeah, it just feels very simple. So much so that I feel that I may not have been too helpful, but if you watch this far, then thank you. I apologize for the sinus and everything. And thank you overall. Thank you for tuning in as per usual, and Godspeed. Godspeed. Shadow work is not easy work. And like I said in the beginning of this video, you are very impressive and brave for even being open to this. So thank you.